Good evening. Welcome to Star Talk. I'm Ken Eccles, and we're happy to have you with us on the program tonight. I'm going to, excuse me a second, I got to put this phone over here and then get that phone that's over. Well, you can't see the phones anyway while I'm even talking about them. You can see the phone number, though. There's the number that you can call if you would like to give us a call on this edition of Star Talk. You can also email us um, at the email address, and there it is, KenEcclesLive at gmail.com. A change since last night. I gave out some information last night that is now outdated. Uh, make a note of it. If you at some point need to text in your pick for a race, any future race, and you're not going to be able to call, or you can't email, and you want to text in a race pick, use the same number that you use to call the show. The same number that's on your screen right there, right now, that will also be the number if you want to text in your race pick. So that'll simplify things a little bit. Um, Same number on your screen. You can use that to text in race picks if you need to do that. Speaking of, uh, let me refer to an email from last night. They didn't get to read. We ran out of time last night before we could read them all. But someone inquired last night. That's not it. Someone inquired last night. Pollen. Someone inquired last night about the Avenger. What happened to the Avenger? And have that email here somewhere. That's not it. I'll just keep guessing until I guess until I guess the right one. What has happened to the Avenger, or did Pretty Man take him out? The Avenger, as some of you may recall, and this emailer does recall, the Avenger was Pretty Man's arch rival. One was the other's nemesis, and the other was one's nemesis. They just a bitter, hotly contested rivalry. Pretty Man and Avenger did. Avenger has not taken part in the NASCAR competition this year, neither in the first stage nor in the current stage. And I actually don't know why. I don't know why Avenger is not participating because I haven't heard from him on that. But I do have, I think I have his email address. I think I can find his email address somewhere, I think. If I can, I will email him and I will tell him that the public is inquiring. The public is curious and perhaps even concerned that the Avenger has not made an appearance so far during this NASCAR season. And maybe I will be able to find out. Maybe. Uh, and then we have this one. Hi, Ken, Mr. Leaksville. I'm going to pick. Did I write that in last night? Mr. Leaksville taking the 9 for Talladega. No, I did not write that in last night. So that must be new. Mr. Leaksville. Mr. Leaksville takes Chase Elliott, number 9 for Talladega. And I think we also have a jack pick. We do have a jack pick. And Jack takes the 12, Ryan Blaney for Talladega. So Elliott for Mr. Leaksville and Blaney for Jack. And here are the picks so far. Nice Guy, 11. Mr. Leaksville, the 9. Mr. Draper, the 24. Jack, the 12. Mark, the 5. Pelham, Mr. Pelham, the 23. Charles, the 22. Early Bird, the 11. And Leon, the 8. And those are the picks that we have thus far for Talladega. All right. You can give us a call at that phone number if you'd like, or you can email us at the email address indicated, KenEcclesLive gmail.com. Um, Here's one that's actually, this is an important point, and I'm surprised we haven't talked about this before. But here's an email that will give us a reason to talk about it now. Emailer says, Ken, my driver's license, North Carolina, will expire in 6 weeks. I called up the DMV office. I figured 6 weeks ahead would give me plenty of time to make an appointment to get my license renewed. And they told me that the earliest appointment they have is more than 2 weeks after my license expires. So if I cannot get my license renewed with an appointment by the time it expires, what am I supposed to do? Just quit driving until they can make me an appointment? What is the matter with those people? Why does it take 2 months? And the emailer adds an adjective for months, but I'll just skip over that. Why does it take 2 months to get an appointment to get your license renewed? Well, that's a good question. The North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles, as you may have noticed if you've tried to deal with them lately, is in some state of disarray right now. I don't know what's going on at the DMV, but it is hard to get an appointment. Um, and people don't normally, I mean, normally you don't think about if your license is expiring, you don't really think about calling 6 months ahead to make an appointment to get your driver's license renewed because we're not accustomed to having to do that. And it's probably not taken 6 months now, but it is taking, in many cases, I'm told, 6 weeks and maybe longer. Well, with this emailer, apparently it's about 2 months to get an appointment. And that is an issue because a whole lot of people, people generally wait till a couple of weeks before their license expires before they make an appointment. I don't know if anybody else is in that situation or not. Well, I mean, I know other people are in that situation. I don't know if anybody else currently watching this show is in that situation. But I would say this to you. If your North Carolina driver's license is expiring anytime soon, you are strongly advised to call right now and find out when you will be able to get an appointment to go in and get it renewed, because you might get an unpleasant surprise when you call to make that appointment, as this emailer did. Meanwhile, in Raleigh, the place where all problems are solved, in Raleigh, there's a bill in the General Assembly that they've noticed. I guess they noticed because a lot of people have been calling up their General Assembly representatives and complaining about this. So what they've noticed or what they've done is somebody has filed a bill that would extend the expiration dates that would actually give you extra time. I think that the bill that's being considered right now would add, is it a year, maybe even 2 years past the expiration date. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, it's Mark Madden.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
That's good. Your email you was talking about earlier about the Avenger and stuff. That was Citizen D who emailed that.
Oh, The Avenger? Did I read that? Did
When
I read
you
that? Oh, I read it right at the end last night and then didn't have time to get back to it. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, that was Citizen D who sent that email. I think he's asked about me moving or whatever too. I
He
think.
did. Yeah, he was asking about you moving. Are you going to move for sure?
Not for sure, not yet. No.
Okay.
We're just talking about it right now.
All right. Well, keep us posted.
Uh, I was going to remind you and Charles McDaniel, Mass Singer tonight, Fox 8 or Fox Channel at 8 o'clock.
Well, thank you, Mark. Good reminder.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Good night. So there's Mark, who may or may not be moving. That's not official yet. It is official, though, that Masked Singer will be on at 8 o'clock tonight on your local Fox affiliate. Please make a note of it. Phone line is open at that number right there. We did have a little bit of a glitch with the phone, but I fixed it. Being so astute at multitasking, I noticed the problem and I fixed it even as I spoke. So obviously the phone is working now. So you can give us a call at that number. You can email us at kenickleslive@gmail.com. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. You talking about the DMV office, man? I went by there about 3 weeks ago because my birthday's in September, and could not even hardly find a parking spot in the parking lot. When I went in, I mean, the whole waiting room was full, and the outside place was full, you know, where they stand around and stuff, and I just give up on it. But I went to get my real ID, but I'm telling you, man, they must really be backlogged on everything, it looks like.
You know, there may not be any chance of getting real ID by May 7th unless you already have an appointment. Now, the thing is, the bill in the General Assembly, get back to that a second. I looked it up quickly here. The bill that's in the General Assembly now would give you an extra 2 years. This is how messed up it is. It's a bill that would postpone the expiration of your license by 2 years to give you time to get an appointment to get it renewed. That has not become law yet. It's not the law right now, but they are working on that in the General Assembly.
Well, that would be a help, you know.
It sure would. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to be sitting around and maybe driving around with expired licenses.
Yeah, exactly. I heard on I guess it was News 2 the other night, Ken, that they're working 10 hours a day now versus 8 hours a day. So that's got to help some, I would think. But, you know, it's, the backlog like that, it's going to take forever, it looks like.
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I honestly don't know what's going on at the DMV that's causing it. Maybe it's a shortage of workers?
That would be my guess. Certainly would be.
But I don't know.
Yeah. You know, Ken, I was talking about the economy and the state of the country last night. You know, I kind of agree totally with Mr. ETJ. I mean, if you look at everything Trump's attempting to break, it's just going to cause total chaos for everything. I mean, you know, Trump campaigned on not touching Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Well, he might not touch it, but the layoffs and stuff that he's doing with the Social Security office and closing offices and, you know, messing up the phone and computer service, people don't know which way to think. But even if he does not do it, and the Republicans sit up there in Congress and don't try to make something work for the people in this country, he might not touch it to where it's going to really affect our checks or whatever. But the threat of it will be remembered at Election Day, you know?
What is the perceived threat? I mean, when you think about Social Security, what is it that worries you?
Well, with Doge in there doing anything and everything with everybody's personal information, who knows where your information is going? Another thing, they've laid off thousands of workers, the way I understand it. And they're closing Social Security offices left and right, the way I hear. So
they are closing offices.
And remember that you couldn't. They wanted to say, well, you couldn't call in anymore, and said you had to verify who you were, or you know, come up with your real identity or whatever, prove it to them, and you had to come into the office to do it. But if you're closing down offices and laying off workers, trying to get people to retire with early retirement, doing buyouts, just like we did with the IRS and everything else, it seems like. How can that work?
Well, it wouldn't work, and they did figure that out because, as you recall, at one point they were shutting down telephone applications for those. So you can't do it on the telephone anymore, they said. And then a few weeks later, they said, well, we thought about it, and now you can do it on the telephone again. So at least somebody realized that if they shut down the telephone procedures, it would be chaotic. So at least for the time being, the telephone will be available again. Let's hope there's somebody there to answer it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole problem, in my opinion, Ken. The uncertainty of everything he's trying to so-called help is really scaring people into thinking, well, I know a lot of people that's on Social Security, Ken, for their main income, and without that, there's going to be a bunch of street people out pretty soon. So how just the threat of it. You never heard that before with another president in my lifetime. The threat of messing it up.
Well, I don't know if I've heard it before or not. I really don't know, but I do know this, and I always come back to this is one thing I do know, that people in Washington have, if they're not afraid of anything else, they are afraid of Social Security recipients, and they will do anything they can do, bend in whatever direction they need to bend in to make sure that people's Social Security checks get delivered. Now, is that a guarantee that there's never going to be a problem? Well, there are no guarantees in this universe, but I think I can guarantee that that is the very last thing that anybody in Washington wants to happen, and I expect they'll do whatever is necessary to prevent it.
Yeah, well, I think you're totally right on that, Ken. That's political suicide for anybody. But the way Doge is going through things, and that whole thing was a joke anyway. You hear one week that he's saving people, saving the country billions of dollars, and when the truth comes out, it's like not hundreds of billions and tens of billions and all that. It comes out to be hundreds of thousands and millions, and that was just a joke anyway.
Well,
Another
the
thing.
last thing, the last public statement from Elon Musk was that by the end of this fiscal year, they will have saved the taxpayers $150 billion. Now, initially it was 2 trillion, and then it was 1 trillion, and now it's 150 billion. So that is kind of going in a downward direction.
Yeah, well, I think the truth is coming out on that, and finally. Another thing too, I saw what Pam Bondi said today that Garcia would not be coming back to this country. Now, Ken, I know a lot of religious people and claim to be religious people, but when they can sit around and say, "I don't care about those people" or anything like that, how can you call yourself a Christian when you don't care about your fellow man and your neighbor? I just
Well,
don't see where they come up with that logic, because that's not the way I look at religion.
well, I don't, I don't make pronouncements on anybody's theology, so I won't say anything about that. But um, we do have a guy in a prison in El Salvador who was, in the words of the Trump administration, who was erroneously deported, who should not have been reported. That's what the administration, that's not what I say, it's what the administration says. And yet it seems everybody's content just to let him stay in prison for as long as El Salvador will keep him. Now, mind you, we've only paid El Salvador to keep those people in prison for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, we don't know what happens.
Yeah.
But that's where we are.
Yeah. One more quick thing, Ken. The way I see it too, when Biden left office, the economy was in good shape. Stock market was going out the roof. People had plenty of jobs, and inflation was beginning to come down, and so were prices. But when Trump walked in and started this tariff talk, it's going to totally destroy the economy of this country and the world if he continues to do what he's doing.
Well, let's hope not.
Yep. I hope not. All right, Ken. Have a great weekend. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. There's a phone number on the the screen, and there's the phone. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ken.
Good evening.
I'd like to address the gentleman.
Which gentleman? There's so many.
Well, I'm talking the gentleman who said he was approached by certain people at the pharmacy.
Approached by certain people at the pharmacy.
Claiming to be my security.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He said he went to the drugstore and your people roughed him up a little bit.
Well, I'll check into it. Does he have any videos? Does he have any pictures? Does he have any witnesses?
I don't know. You know, it may be that the pharmacy does have some security camera footage.
Well, I was just wondering because I was a little shocked that my people roughed up somebody I know, and I take that very personal.
All right. Well, maybe you need to talk to your people about that.
I will. We'll just take a little ride. We'll just take a little flight down to Chicago to a warehouse, and we'll talk about the problem.
All right. Well, I don't really want to hear any more about that. I'd rather not.
So why not? I mean, it's just a building.
I don't want to get a subpoena.
Well, for what? I mean, all I said was I want to take my people, the two down there, and talk to them in a Chicago warehouse.
And I said, I don't want to hear any more about that. So those are the things that we said.
Well, I'll discuss the problem with them two, and if I find something wrong, I will correct the problem myself.
Well, good. Problems ought to be corrected.
Oh yeah, I have ways of solving the problem without sometimes words.
Fine. I don't want to hear about that either.
Well, I thank Mark Mandan for reminding me of the Masked Singer tonight. I should own your local Fox station.
That is correct. 8 o'clock.
And I just want everybody to know in Talladega, the 22, everybody will be eating the 22's dust. Rubber.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see about that. Of course, they could be eating his dust because he's winning, or they could be eating his dust because he's two laps down and slow, and they're trying to get around it. We really don't know what the circumstances will be.
Well, I'm making sure that my driver wins this time.
All right. Well, then I don't want to hear about that.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you, Mr. Ken. See you next week, sir, and bye-bye.
Thanks for calling. Yep. I don't want to know about any shady activities. It's best to be able to plausibly deny knowledge of that sort of thing. This one says, Ken, well, my driver's license expires in June. Do you think I'll be able to get an appointment? Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But if I were you, I'd call tomorrow to find out what the status is. Because, folks are having trouble. So I wouldn't wait any longer to call and inquire about an appointment if you haven't done so yet. Don't drag your feet on that one. Hello, Ken. This is the Avenger. It's the Avenger. This is the Avenger. And I notice people are wondering about my absence. We'll illuminate that in a moment. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Ken. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right, thank you. You know, that's what happens when people get their information from one source, like the left side. They're fed all of this stuff that they're already worried about, and it makes them worry about it more. And you know, you know how the left twists all the information to sound like they want it to make the people that watch them believe it, because it's like a soap opera. Okay, and excuse me, the Trump is not touching anything. Doge is not touching anything. but fraud, illegal immigrants, and people that are dead or not born yet, which is fraud. But that's all Trump is touching. That's all they're touching. They're not messing with anybody's Social Security. They're not messing with anybody's Medicaid, unless it's fraudulent or it's a lie or they've done something like that. I mean, that's a proven fact. That's what they're doing. They're not touching nothing. They ain't going after nobody. I'm 71. I'm the least worried about messing with my Social Security check. And it's not going to happen. And that's what happens when you get your news, the information. I've been quoted that from one source by the same fellow that I may be speaking of. But because he's got his opinions, I understand that, and everybody does.
Sure.
But it sure is hard to believe that some people are living in that soap opera world of the left-wing media that we've been lied to about for the last 16 years. 16 years. 8 years through Obama, they lied to us. 4 years through Trump that they tried to persecute him and hang him, that they lied to us. And then the 4 years of Biden, they lied to us. When is the left going to understand and realize that they've been lied to for 16 years? We have too. Why don't they understand this? And it's a fact. Everybody knows it. The left-wing media is corrupt. They don't have 1 million people watching a night or a day. You know, they're lucky to have 900,000. And it's pitiful. I mean, it's a shame that they let those type of people be on there. And who goes up in Bezos' rocket to space? 6 left-wing nuts. That's who went.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we're looking at money. When you get enough money and you've bought everything you want and need, and you go into your mind and you say, God, there's nothing left. Oh, yeah, let's build a rocket. Let's get some publicity to send these 6 women. So, you know, when they all left, when they lifted off, 4 of them looked at each other and said, I got to pee.
No, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that, but I hoped it worked out okay.
Okay. What didn't you hear?
I didn't hear that they had to pee.
When they landed, they all looked at each other and said, we all did.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a note of that in case I ever go. I'll make sure I'm prepared.
Yeah. Okay. Katy Perry says she saw God.
All right. Well, that's good.
No,
That's good.
she didn't say that. She didn't say that. Have a good night, kid.
You might notice that I'm not really up to date on that trip. So whatever you're telling me about it is news to me.
Okay, well, you know, Jeff Bezos is supposed to be the one to open the door with his special tool, right?
No, I didn't even know that.
Capsule landed, and all of a sudden the door's open from the inside. A woman runs over and pulls the door back shut, and you can hear her say, no, not yet. And then Bezos, in about 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, walks up with his special tool and opens the door and says, hey, guys, come on out.
Okay.
After playing the day in the same video, the door is open from the inside.
All
It
right,
can't
well,
happen.
I'll need to look that up.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Please do. It's on every one of them. It's on every. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night, Ken. Bye-bye.
Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. There's the phone number on the screen if you'd like to give us a call. You can also email us, which the Avenger has in fact done. And let me get back to the Avenger's email here. People are wondering about my absence. Here is my statement, says the Avenger. My purpose in taking part in the NASCAR contest was to defeat Pretty Man. I have defeated him, so my work is done. Well, hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Ken.
Hello.
In response to the last caller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, what's the only network that was fined and paid $800 million for pushing false information?
Well,
Tell me, Ken.
That would have been Fox, I think.
Fox News. It won't Star News. It won't NBC News. It won't Greensboro News. It was Fox News, Ken. So when you gonna tell me and tell people that these people watching other networks are just nuts and all like that, and you get your information from the only network that been fined $800 million in the history of television, then you need to lay off the Kool-Aid. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay.
And another thing, far as Doge, how can any group, especially young teenagers and all, go through 30 agencies in 2 months and find their fraud? It's impossible, Ken.
Well,
If you had fraud and Star News, it'll take them at least 15, 30 days to examine it and find out to make sure they got the guilty and kept the unguilty.
well, now in the case of Star News, I don't know. They might be able to figure us out in about 15 minutes. But so far we're not under investigation. Well, here's the test. All right, let me tell you. Here will be the final test of whether or not they're finding fraud in Social Security and the other things. And I don't know whether they are or not. But if they are, then eventually somebody is going to be prosecuted for it. They're not going to find these people committing fraud and say, okay, we'll just delete their account and forget about it. They will prosecute some of these fraudsters at some point. So that'll be the final word, and that'll be when we find out how much fraud they were finding, is how many people get prosecuted.
Okay, but look, like 80,000 people at the Veterans Administration. Now, how you gonna tell me you can go through the Veteran Administration and find 80,000 guilty people in 2 months? It's impossible, Ken.
It would be a major accomplishment if that's what they've done. But again, we'll see if those people get prosecuted.
Right. Now, just I heard last night about the accusation of autocracy, and this is what I said. This is just my opinion, and it's not long.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Some signs I feel of a early stage of autocracy are: number one, when a president goes out for law firms who represent people he opposes. Number two, when a president withholds money from colleges whose teaching any history he dislikes. Number three, when college student, write a newspaper article he disliked. Number four, cutting 83,000 personnel from an agency that he views as losers and suckers, knowing their services will be greatly affected. And lastly, number five, saying seriously that he wants to take over another country and make it America, like Greenland. Those are my opinion, how you can detect the early stages of autocracy.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ken.
Good night. Phone line is up there. Phone number is up there. You can give us a call. The line is open. You can email us at keneckleslive@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you either way. oh, let me finish the Avengers email. My purpose was to defeat Pretty Man. I have defeated Pretty Man, so my work is done. If it happens that America again needs a champion to step up and oppose Pretty Man, then I will be available to do so. But for the time being, I will sit and watch. Okay. All right. Well, that's the statement from the Avenger as to why he is not in evidence in our NASCAR competition this year. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, kid. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You on the telling an email, and I'm talking to you.
Oh, well, that's because what you see on TV is actually about 12 to 15 seconds after what you're saying right now. In other words, it's delayed. So you're seeing what happened now, by now seeing what happened 20 seconds ago.
Okay, I was trying to call you earlier, but I couldn't get you. Went straight to your voicemail.
Yeah.
And then I texted you twice. Mr. Draper gave me one number. Then I heard you say when you come on, you said call that, text that number right there at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. Well, the phone wasn't quite right when we went on the air, but I got it fixed, so it's working now.
I just said, are you on tonight? Because I didn't know it was a rerun or what.
Well, we're on. We're live.
Okay. I was going to ask you, what they ever do that guy that was, I think he was a Palestinian or something over at one of them colleges speaking. He said it was a honey something, you know, when he went there to get his visa, green card or citizenship or whatever, they arrested him.
He's either been deported or he's in the process of being deported. I don't know if it's.
So they gonna send him back?
That is their intention, yes.
Well, is that because he was over here protesting?
Yeah, that's the reason. They say that people. Well, essentially, the view is that the people who are here on student visas who protest against the United States, they want them to go home, and that's what they're doing.
Well, that's where they ought to go, shouldn't they? I mean, you'll protest, you probably protest where you come from, but
Well,
I don't know about people.
I guess. I mean, it's not. It isn't. They're not citizens. They're not U.S. citizens, so they don't have the protections that a U.S. citizen has here. So they can revoke their visas. They have the authority to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So they'll send him back. Huh? Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to ask you something. Did you make those walnut brownies yet?
No, I asked tonight when she gonna make them. She gonna make them tomorrow.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, make sure she does.
Yeah, I told her, I said, yeah, make some tomorrow. She said, well, you said you didn't want none of them. I said, well, that's before you got the black walnut.
Well, good luck tomorrow on that.
I was going to ask you something about that. How long was they up in space, them women? Well, I don't know if they went to space or whatever.
Well, they went to the edge.
10 minutes?
They went to the edge of space. Yeah, about 10 minutes. It's just a few minutes that you stay up on those things. But you actually, you leave the atmosphere and you're in the very bottom edge of space. So, you can see everything that can be seen from space, you can see for those few minutes.
Really?
Yep,
I wonder what they'd done if that thing and took them up farther.
They probably would have gotten a little upset because they weren't planning to go any farther than that. I knew by the time they got halfway to the moon, I expect they would have been complaining.
But anyway, that thing come back and landed right back on the pad it took off on, didn't it?
Yep, it worked. Everything worked apparently except the door didn't work quite the way it was supposed to, but it all turned out.
Oh, really? What was wrong with the door?
Well, I didn't see it. Mr. Draper told me that the door was not supposed to be opened until Jeff Bezos got there with a special tool that was necessary to open the door. But apparently they were able to open it from the inside before he got there. So that's all I know. Evidently something didn't work the way I expected it to.
Well, I saw it on there and him walking up to that capsule they was in. I thought he put a key in there and opened the door.
Well, he did.
Jeff
My
Bezos.
understanding is he did. But according to Mr. Draper, they had already opened the door once before he got there, and then they closed it back again so he'd be able to come and use his special tool.
I think his wife was the first one out, wasn't she?
I don't know. I didn't see the procession.
I didn't see it all. I just saw that part where he walked up and took a key and done something to the door and opened the door.
Would you do that if you had the money? Would you take that ride, 10-minute ride for 10 minutes in space?
I wouldn't do it if he said it was free.
Okay. I don't think I would either.
I don't fly, kid.
Well, I have flown in a few airplanes, but a rocket to space, that's a whole different thing.
I know when it's I don't know when it's my time, but when the Lord wants to come and take me, He'll take me. But I'd rather be on the ground instead of up in the air. I mean, I just don't want to.
No need. There's no need trying to rush it.
No, I'm scared I'll have a heart attack or something getting in an airplane or anything like, especially getting in that plane going up. Oh Lord!
No,
I wouldn't do it if it was free. I wouldn't do it if it was free. If Basil told me I could go free, I wouldn't go.
No, I don't think I'm going to get in an Amazon rocket.
No, I don't care. I know somebody called something. It might have been last night. Something about like a Disneyland ride. Coming to the future. Years from now, it'll be like a Disneyland ride.
It probably will. It'll probably be cheap, so anybody can do it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't do it. If I was a billionaire, I still wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pay them that much. I wouldn't do it. I just don't fly. No, not me.
All right. Well, you and me will stay on Earth then.
Yeah. I'd rather keep my feet on the ground and just stay on the ground like that. I mean, I was going to tell you something. I need to write it down. Mr. Draper told me to start writing it down. I wouldn't forget it.
Okay.
But I'm going to get them brownies tomorrow night.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you about that guy that was in, at that college protest. And I thought they had him somewhere at a safe house where they weren't going to send him back or something. But
well,
evidently they're going to send him back.
I think they're going to deport him. I might be wrong, but I think that's what they're doing.
Well, he shouldn't have got up there and done that. I mean, but anyway, I'll let you go so the other callers can call in, and I'll talk to you later. And I love your program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your call. And glad you're going to have some walnut brownies tomorrow. At least we hope you will. Phone line is open. There's number, the email address, keneckelslive@gmail.com. I never mentioned Fox News. I get my info from many sites, many. So Mr. Draper says it's not Fox News that he's talking about. This one says, Ken, I'm getting worried about all the callers calling in, worried about Trump and complaining about him. When I'm around Greensboro and High Point all week long, I never hear people complaining about Trump so much, and those areas are not bastions of conservatism. Inflation was cooling as Biden was leaving office because the gravy train of COVID money was running out and the economy was slowing. Hang on one moment here. I'll get back to that. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening to you, Ken.
Good evening.
The conversation about the space flight made me recall an experience in my life that I thought you might get a chuckle from.
Well, let's hear it.
For many years, my next-door neighbor, for want of a better term, was an officer on a nuclear-powered submarine.
All right.
And sitting there at a backyard barbecue with him one night, another guest there began a conversation, and I overheard an interesting argument. As I said, my neighbor was an officer on a submarine. The other guy was a Navy pilot. And they were both talking about the risk to life that the other was taking in their chosen pursuit.
Okay.
So it made me stop and ponder it for a minute. You went, yeah, you're talking about a guy who's up in the air and what happens if things go bad there, to a guy who goes under the sea and what bad things happen down there, and which position would you rather be in?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. You know, we seem to perceive sometimes other people's risks, but we don't think as much about our own.
Yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting conversation between those two that evening, and I thought you might get a chuckle from that, pondering.
Well, did you, by any chance, did you step into that conversation and say, look, you know, you're both taking some chances here?
Well, I did throw in my 2 cents worth. Was I served in the infantry. I figured I could dig a hole and hide from it all.
Okay. So you're not in the air or underwater. So you're the
Me no got feathers, brother. No, me no want to be warrant officer. Me no got feathers.
So you're the smartest one in the bunch.
Well, no, not exactly. I was the one that was drafted. They volunteered.
Well, again, maybe you were the smartest one in the bunch.
Anyway, Ken, I hope you have a good evening and a good weekend.
Thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Let me finish this email. When I'm around Greensboro and High Point during the week, I don't hear so many people complaining about Trump, the emailer says. Inflation was cooling as Biden was leaving office because the gravy train of COVID money was running out. The economy was slowing. The emailer says Trump could find a cure for cancer and people would still hate the guy because he hurt their feelings running that mouth of his, and he does run it too much. But people need to enjoy their life and stop sitting around all day waiting to call in and complain about Trump and trashing him and trashing the economy. They aren't hurting anyone but themselves and raising their own blood pressure. I hope they find joy in life instead of being miserable because their candidate lost all 7 swing states and the election. And I didn't need an appointment. Oh, this looks good. I didn't need an appointment to get my license renewed and real ID. I took a day off work, showed up at 7:45 a.m. and got in line and sat and waited. Even had to leave for lunch then and came back after lunch and waited some more, but I got it completed by 5 p.m. You've just got to be patient and go get it done. They're overwhelmed because of the Real ID deadline that's looming. Real ID is a requirement that President Obama put in place, so they should complain about Obama putting that requirement in place. But having said that, people have had 10 years to get their Real ID, so it's really on you if you haven't gotten yours yet. All right. Thank you, emailer. Interesting information there. You can, if you can't get an appointment, if you can take a day off work, that worked for him. Just go and be prepared to wait it out. What time is it? We still have just a few minutes left for your phone calls and your emails, and we'd love to hear from you in these last few minutes of the show. If you'd like to email us or give us a call, by all means, do so. Ken, I was happy to hear that the Avenger is alive and well. I wondered why we had not heard from him. So I understand now that he considers his mission accomplished, but he does need to realize that Pretty Man is still out there lurking. So we might need him again. Well, we might, as long as Pretty Man is in this world, there is that threat and that danger. Ken, when is Big Lots going to open again? Somebody said you said last night that Big Lots was going to open again. Well, Big Lots will be opening again. There's one in Asheboro opening this month and more in North Carolina next month. I don't know exactly when and where they will all be. But Big Lots is alive again and might be coming back to an area near you. Don't know where they're all going to be, but they are coming back. The phone just did something strange. I think the phone just dropped a call. If you were on the phone and it dropped your call, I'm sorry it did that. But if you'll dial back right now, then you should be able to get through. If you'll dial back right now. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Enjoy your show.
Thanks.
Give you a little trivia question.
All right, I'm ready.
When was the last time that you seen it snow in April?
Oh, the last time that I saw it snow in April, you know, I do remember it. I remember seeing a snow flurry in April, but I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly when it was. So I guess I don't have the answer.
I can tell you when it was. It was April the 20th.
What year?
It's been about probably 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
It was my neighbor on the left-hand side of me and the neighbor on my right-hand side of me. They didn't have no snow. It was just right at my house.
Oh,
and it snowed about 2 inches on the ground.
Now, hold on. It snowed 2 inches on your yard and not on anybody else's.
That's exactly right.
Wow. I hope did you get a picture of that?
I got a newspaper clipping of it.
Wow. That's crazy.
And it snowed, and I went to the store and I bought a camera and come back and took a picture of it. And they put it in the Reidsville Daily News.
So
it made the front page.
So it would have had to have snowed, what, a couple of hours to do that?
No, it snowed so hard, probably in 20 minutes, it accumulated about 2 inches of snow. And then the sun come out, and probably within 5 minutes, it was all gone.
2 inches of snow in 20 minutes, and then it melted, and you didn't even have time to build a snowman.
No, but like I said, I enjoy your show and appreciate your call.
Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Now that's a curiosity there, folks. 2 inches of snow on his yard, none on the neighbor's yards, and it melts almost immediately. That's crazy. Speaking of weather, I was supposed to do this last night and I forgot. And I'm trying to look, I'm looking for the email now. Well, I won't waste time looking for the email because we're almost out of time. But somebody emailed last night and said, Ken, when are you going to give us the Old Farmer's Almanac forecast for summer? The emailer noted how the Old Farmer's Almanac is the official source that I consult for weather forecasting, and was wondering if I've seen the Old Farmer's Almanac summer forecast, and am I going to share it with the public? Yeah, I have seen it. The Old Farmer's Almanac says that this summer is going to bring weather that will be range from warm to hot. I can slow down in case you want to take notes. The summer will bring weather that will range from warm to hot at different times. It says periods of the summer will be very dry, and then at other times in the summer there will be rainfall. And to be a little more specific, you might be saying, well, that's not very specific, is it? But it gets more specific than that. The Old Farmer's Almanac says that most of the hotter weather, most of the weather that we will consider hot, will occur in July and August. So that's the word. That's the word for the coming summer from the Old Farmer's Almanac. There's also a note, an addendum to the Old Farmer's Almanac forecast, which says that they've had their forecasts examined and monitored by any number of scientific associations, and that the scientific consensus, now this is what they say, I don't know, this is what the Old Farmer's Almanac says. They say the scientific consensus is that their forecasts are accurate more than 80% of the time. And that's pretty good record. And I would say that that forecast for this summer that I just gave you, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm thinking that one's probably right on the money. And that's the Old Farmer's Almanac. And that's all the time we have for Star Talk this week. We're on the air Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I hope you'll join us next time. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Echols.